all of that. We're gonna say,
Hey, we're gonna call this capital committee meeting to order. It is July 31st. It's 2:11 PM. Sorry for the late start. I'm gonna do a roll call, and if we could just all go around and say our names for the transcription. Jill V.
Don Hill.
Peter Kaiser, Howard Matts.
Liza Haddon.
And on Zoom is Caroline.
Caroline Bolzer.
And for staff, we have Brian Turbot, our finance director,
in attendance.
and Sue Carmel, the deputy finance director. And then we have a lot of people's devices. They're ours, so. This is being audio video recorded. Can I get approval of the agenda?
So moved. Second,
And on that,
Howard seconds.
Don,
Aye.
Pete,
Aye.
Howard,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Jill's and I, Caroline.
Aye.
And do we have any public comment? Opening public comment. I am going to close public comments. If okay with you all, I'm gonna jump to the Rory reviews because Brian and Sue are here and they would need to go over the Rory changes that we made. First of all, welcome Liza, who's our newest member and our
Thank you.
NPEDC rep,
Glad to have. Yes,
effective
yes.
Monday.
Welcome,
Thank you.
Liza.
Thank you. Thanks for signing up and joining. So I've told you a little bit about the committee and I think, you'll want to talk to all the other members when you get a chance and find out about what we do. On the Rory changes, we worked on changes this spring and into the summer. Brian's had a chance to spend a little time reviewing it and he needs to update us on how we can change it for better and for good.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So, we were sent a list, which I think most people have of, specific and particular changes that the committee as a whole discussed and wanted to see to the group and the criteria and ultimately some changes to the criterion relevance percentage. And so we sent what we were sent by the group, the committee to Plum, and there's a very specific problem with what you're trying to do. You have created 3 groups called prioritization, quantitative justification for project, and cost. And you have a specific set of criteria. I think there's 15 criteria. And the way the Rory system works is you generally group like criteria into a group, okay? Which the way that it's outlined here works perfectly. However, the other document that I was given as part of this would like to assign a criterion relevance rating of 100% to everything, and you cannot do that. It will not work. Because you have to be able to, the group as a whole has to equal 100% in the criterion when you're doing this calculation. And so assigning 100% under, say for instance, in group prioritization, we can't assign a criterion relevant rating of 100% to every single one of the criteria in that group. You really need to talk amongst yourselves and assign a specific percentage ranking to each of those, subject to it equaling 100%. So then we can calculate the group Rory so that when you do your Rorys, it will allocate a percentage based on that. The way that it was relayed to us, as I mentioned, wants to assign the same 100% to everything, and it doesn't work. The Rorys are not. When you specifically group like-minded categories or criteria together, the group has to equal 100%, not every individual. If the committee as a whole wants every criteria to be 100%, then we're gonna have 15 groups. Because everything has to be individualized, which I don't think is what you want, but I can't make that decision for you and then tell the programmer what to do, which is why we're here. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Can I open up with the first question? On the groupings, so each group adding to 100%,
Mhm.
can we still give equal weight to the 3 groups? So it's like 33, 33, 30, 33.
You can carve it up however you want, but each group can't have every criteria be 100%. It has to be some metric or multiple percentage of 100,
Just to know
yeah.
if that might be a way to make everyone a little happier, that things are a little more equal, if the groups
Well, you
are
can,
equal.
you could weight everything the same if you wanted. You could call, you know, there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in prioritization. So if you wanted to take 6 into 100 and assign everything equal, you can. I'm not sure that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is logical, but we can do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
that-
We just can't do it the way you
I
want
think
it
it's that this time. But you
originally.
originally
Well,
did it.
well, I guess my first question is, so the way that this was previously set up before we decided to change all of it. It aligned with what the developers are telling us we essentially have to achieve that.
Yeah, we need to actually go back to the alignment where
Yes.
this percentage was not 100 for everything.
Yeah.
So that we can then normalize the ratios so that when you input your Rory, it will multiply it by that
And-
ratio.
And to arrive at those percentages for each group, we went through the exercise of doing, you know, how does each group rank relative to the other groups, and then how does
Yeah.
each criteria within the group rank
Yeah.
versus the other one.
The
So that was the process that was all Stevens and the developers kind of.
Well, it was actually Steven and the guy in Singapore.
And
Yeah,
again, so, yeah, exactly, and I think that was one thing that people had a hard time understanding, but it was kind of a necessary evil to arrive at the end result that the developers are saying we need to arrive at.
right.
And so, one example would be, all right, let's give 33% to prioritization. Quality justification for project and cost, but then I think you get into the issue where the criteria within each one.
Has to be ranked then as well.
Well, yes, but also, you know, if there's only 3 criteria in quality justification for project and 6 in prioritization. By nature, the 3 in quality justification for project would have a higher.
Yeah.
Allocation of percentage than the 6 in prioritization, so I think that
Yeah.
there's. We have to look at. How they all relate to each other and not just say, let's go a third, or let's go. Or to your point, you have 16 different groups, and then that's the only way to really justify that they would all have equal weight.
Right, correct.
But in reality, I don't necessarily believe that all 16 of these, you could argue, have equal weighting, that would just be the easy solution. And
Yeah,
I'm just kind of laying that out there, I don't have a desire one way or the other, but just. so
But I also think that the whole purpose of this is to group like-minded criteria and prioritize the groupings.
Of
And
course,
then prioritize the criteria within the group.
which was the exercise
Which
that
is-
we would undergo.
Right, which is the whole purpose of kind of this methodology, but we're happy to help you get to wherever you wanna go. I'm kind of stuck right now.
Unfortunately, John's not here,
Is
because I feel
there-
like there's a lot of his.
Is there, is the Rory scoring methodology something that Stephen created and we're wedded to it, or is it by state law?
No, it is
Okay.
not, it was, so to answer your questions, 2 parts, it's not anything, anywhere in state law. Stephen didn't create it, it was created by a mathematician in Singapore, who Stephen spent hours talking to on the phone.
Created.
Yeah, but he brought the concept forward because. Just to kind of give you a history, which I think Peter was here too. Stephen's concern was, when he first got on the committee, that there was a tremendous amount of individual bias towards particular projects.
Right.
And he wanted to develop a process. By doing, it came up with this thought press for the Roy ranking to eliminate, to the extent possible. Each individual's bias towards certain projects over other ones as a way to develop a more robust process to forward capital to town meeting or FinCom. I guess is
Yeah.
the long-winded answer. Sorry about
And
that.
what happened was that the things that we were measuring were not exclusive. And so sometimes it would be a lot of this and a little of this, it was medium, high and low, and they all got scores, which was ridiculous because it was low. It shouldn't, you know, or it was high and it shouldn't have gotten the double or triple whammy of being able to pick up scores by low and medium. We also, the entries themselves were overlapping. And they weren't particularly discrete in the way that they were done. So all we did was simply create discrete items that receive discrete scores that on a relative basis are leveled up. I'm not, I mean, you are wedded to use that scoring mechanism. This is so simple, the way we did it, to do it in an Excel spreadsheet and do it very, very quickly. So if we don't use that scoring mechanism, I'm happy to put all the numbers into a spreadsheet and the numbers will come out just fine.
my only concern with it is that if you do that, then. everything's gonna rank pretty big. If everything can get
Yes.
100%, everything is probably,
Except for
because
the,
you're not
right.
juxtaposing it, it doesn't have any tension against something else.
it does, but that's what we talked about last time. So maybe it's in this address regulatory compliance, maybe it's only 50. You know, not everything's gonna get, it's not an all or nothing. This is not binary. You're supposed to give the temperature of the import of that entry. item.
Yeah, but you're still only comparing it to itself.
Yes,
And I like it when I have to compare it to something else and say, okay, I don't wanna give that 50 because I really wanna go to, you know, it creates redundancy and I need to
It does.
give that a higher number because that's more important to me. That's why I thought
If
we
you-
came up with these.
no, actually, that's the exact opposite reason. So you can't, with the way that we had done these, they're so discreet that you can't do it the way that you wanted to do it. So maybe we should come up with new entries then.
No, I love what we came up with.
They're
for
just not,
categories.
but
That,
now they're all exclusive.
I didn't love Steven's categories anymore because I
Yeah.
think some of them were becoming outdated. You know, or
Very subjective to each individual's interpretation.
he almost had like, it was almost like in a beta form, you know.
Well,
like-
it was, I will tell you that it went through hours and hours of discussion and everything when they did it, but the one thing that you mentioned, Howard, was. I think you really were looking at like continuity A, like if you scored it any number. Between 0 and 100 for required to maintain necessary function, it automatically was assumed that it would be 100 for
Medium and low.
medium and low.
Yes.
Now, however. You could just scrap that theory. And say if you score it anything in a high, it doesn't get any scoring for medium and low. Because you've scored it at high and it's not 100% for medium and low, right? Okay, or you could say if you score at medium, it gets nothing for low because it's you know, I mean.
I know exactly. what you're
That
Yeah.
process came as a collaborative
We talked
discussion
about
about
that.
that, so I'm just saying that
We,
that's an
when we
option.
were working on this, we did talk about that and the group. Decided to give everything the chance, every entry, the opportunity to get a full 100, which was probably not the best choice, but that's what the majority of the group.
No, and
wanted.
that's, yeah,
So in speaking with, but I think we need to address Jill's comment, but. I'm not wedded to the scoring system at all because we can do the math easy. So we can also put the proper ratios in the word and make them all work out fine, so that you can do what we're trying to achieve. But what we can't do so far is what Jill would like to do.
Well, I'm gonna be very direct. To me, we're the capital committee, so cost should weigh more than anything else on here. That group, I think should get scored.
We can
like,
do that
it should
easily.
be weighted, and I
Yes.
like weighting these
We
things.
were going to do that.
Yeah,
So
and
we were going to go through and everybody was gonna vote on their own, and then we were gonna take the average of the weight of the different categories.
right, but even on Stevens Lake, if you look at the qualitative, we had some questions that were similar, and they were not necessarily relevant to each other, and we still were able to put in those percentages, and it's still, you know, that was continuity B, I think. was
Except for that we were able to score every entry item, as Brian understood, 100%, which created a false positive calculation for a certain entry item.
I think my concern is that, and I'm just thinking aloud, so I haven't landed
You're
on,
making an important point, and it needs to be addressed, and it's not addressed well.
yeah, like, I just don't wanna I don't want everything getting 80% if you're like, yeah, well, you can give whatever you want. Like, I couldn't do that before, I had to choose something was greater than the other, cause I only had 100% in that category, so I knew I had to emphasize what I wanted to emphasize in my percentage, and now. Like, I can't do that, I can just say, oh, well, everything feels good, so I'll give everything over 50, and then all the capital's gonna go through. Which we know I don't want.
Right.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, at least if we keep when we rank everything, we're gonna come up with our, our mean, our standard deviation, and even if the band is 3 points instead of 10 points, I mean, it's still gonna be based on that, what's the mean, what's the standard deviation, what's above it, keep it, what's below it, ax it or talk about it, and everything in the middle, we definitely talk about. So I mean, whether it's a wide dispersion or a narrow one, it's still gonna be the same exercise at the end of the day. Relative to each other, but
I would. From a different perspective, how you guys want to do it is fine, but, this portion of the software development was the absolute most expensive piece of the roughly $45,000 that I've
Of
spent.
course, but you. could
So
think about
suggesting
Stevens-
going-
How Stephen's brain works.
Suggesting going back to Excel spreadsheets
Right.
is, I would like to avoid that to the extent possible, because this was the most expensive piece of this.
I mean,
That-
Whole entire
that's-
process.
You know, we
May
had an accounting system that we all created and we threw it out. We spent a lot of money for it because it didn't work properly. We just ate it. It was just embarrassing.
I liked the system we had. I just wanted to change the criteria for me. I liked it. But
Can we break it
I'm
into
used
two
to it.
pieces though? So you said two things, I think, and I know how to address one of them.
Mhm.
One is that we all vote for how important these categories are so that we can weight the categories relative to one another. That's easy.
Yeah.
The second one is, how would you like to vote or score on a relative basis exclusive items? They're not relative.
well, if each category has to add up to 100%, then that's kind of back to what you and John wanted, which is you get to decide how many points you want to give to what matters to you.
Oh.
Caroline has her hand raised.
Right? So if it's at 100%, you're like, hey, the most
That's a good
important thing.
point, Carol.
Caroline?
I appreciate what Brian just said, that he's saying to us, this was a very expensive and time-consuming effort that was made by a consultant, it sounds like, and Stephen Welch, and put it together over a long period of time. And we didn't have any in-service, we didn't have any training in how they did that, and it was feeling awkward to us. Jill, you have some very specific concerns about it. But would it be worth having Stephen or that consultant explain, maybe we're not working it properly and maybe there's some updates that can be made to it. It's like a whole system, and we've spent, I think, 4 meetings or 3 meetings on it. And I feel that we should, with the cost of it, both financially and time-wise and effort, I think we should maybe just check in with Stephen to see if we're not using it properly.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I think you're using it properly, Caroline. I think that. I think from my perspective, having been here since this was rolled out, the committee has evolved over time in how it wants to look at the projects and what is important to the committee right now for weighting and for criteria. And I think when we did it in the very beginning, I don't want to say it was rushed, but it was probably a month before or 2 months before the committee got going. So they developed criteria probably 7 years ago or 6 years ago that was important to that committee as a whole then. But I would say that in looking at these, okay, if I was to observe on them, I think they more appropriately review and analyze capital projects in the complexity of the environment that we're working in now with capital projects and what's going on.
Yeah.
So I truly believe that every year the committee should have been undertaking this type of review.
It would
Because,
hurt,
I mean, I think,
No.
Peter, you would probably agree, over time, everybody's opinion on the
You hated
importance of
some-
these things has changed.
Right.
So I think that it's a worthwhile exercise. I just, and I'm not suggesting revert back, but I'm gonna say, I think it's gonna be very difficult unless we come to rating the groups and prioritizing the groups and the rating, and then internally assigning a value to the criteria individually. That it's gonna be very difficult for us to get the programmer to make these changes in time for you guys to start roaring them, because the other thing that we have to remember is. I don't want the situation where over the last couple of years, the group has requested changes to the Rory percentage splits and allocations. And we had already started roaring them in town administration because we're trying to get. To make the process more fulsome for the committee, we're trying to get our rankings, our Rorys done in advance so that only. The projects that the town manager wants, or for the 2 enterprise funds that have the statutory authority to, on their own. To get to the committee. Does that make, so that you're not wasting time on stuff that town administration as a whole doesn't foresee being viable in the year that you're evaluating? I guess it's,
I have a suggestion that might be a solution based on what you getting at and what I think I heard you say. So we can, as I keep saying, these are all exclusive, but some of them are more important than other ones. So we can each go through the category and assign up to, so it adds up to 100. And then we can look at each of the master categories and let the total of that weighting add up to 100 and do the multiplication like we did last time.
Mhm.
And I think it might get you where you want to be.
Yeah, that's what I was, at least one of the categories to equal 100%.
So if they
And then
did
if you felt like we wanted to you wanted to assign a value to each one, we could assign values to the
Yeah.
ones that we think are the most important. I think some of them you might not have to.
I feel like we should try one. But I think maybe it ought to work. We ought to do an
I think
example.
it'll end up being a little similar to last year, but I really think we nailed it on these categories. Like, I don't wanna go
Does that
backwards.
sound like it might be a solution? Right?
Walk me through it again.
So
Sorry.
in each of these, in the first category, we weight them. We weight these 6 items. So that it adds up to 100%. And then we rate the 3 categories so that also is weighted and do the multiplication just like we did last time for that scoring.
Probably would work. I mean, probably need to run it on Excel to make sure it works out.
When you say do the multiplication,
Remember how last year we gave each item a weight and then we gave the categories a weight and then
Yeah,
there's
we
the
did.
line and there's a column that had that number in it as the multiply factor.
I thought it's on paper, but it sounds like you're.
Yeah.
At that time.
I mean, all I really need from you guys, to be honest, is to rate the groups. And then rate each criterion in there
Mhm.
itself, okay, so like. Just say that you think address legal regulatory compliance is the most important criteria in prioritization and you call that 60%. I just need you guys to give me the weight rating for the criteria. We can run the normalization. And then send it to the developer to input it and run it and test it. That's really all we need to do. I mean, unless we want 15 individual criteria at 100%. I'm not married to either way. I just want to make sure you guys understand.
But it does seem to make sense.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, if that is the route that we go down, I think it might be an easier exercise, and there's a mathematical way to do it, where you rank them from 1 to 6.
Yeah,
Right, and then
yeah.
there's like a percentage assigned. to
Yeah,
each-
Yeah,
Instead of trying to say like, all right, I'm gonna put this one 30, this one 15, all right, how many do I have left for the other 4?
No, you're
Maybe I
right.
should adjust that
You
down,
can
but-
just
Yeah.
rate the first one, if it's 6, you just rank them 1 through 6, and then you combine them and come up with.
With a weighted average.
With a weighted average, and then we will input it and get it normalized so that it'll work.
You mean you're ordering them?
Well, you're ordering on priority, and then that
within the
will,
category.
You have to give a number to it to be able to come up with the math.
but if you rate 1 through, if you order them 1 through 6, which you
And
add
you-
1
that's
plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6,
So
that
the
gives
first one-
the total amount that's
So
equitable.
it's gonna equal 6 plus 5 plus 4 plus 3.
The total amount of like points, let's say, and that's 6, whatever the highest is, we get 6 of those
It's a
points,
Fibonacci.
whatever the second, yeah, is
Yeah.
that what it is?
It's a Fibonacci.
Yeah,
See,
Yeah.
he gets
Yeah.
and I think that'll work, and then we can turn that into the.
It's a Fibonacci. It's
ratio
been
or
a long
something,
time
yeah.
since I've.
But then we can turn that into the percentage and
Yeah.
normalize it, so you could all do it. Then
Yeah.
we could get it implemented.
It doesn't matter
opposed-
what we do, but.
No, I'm just
but-
saying it might be
but if-
easier than trying to say,
However,
all right, I
that's a
think,
pretty easy.
I think
way
this
to
one's
do it.
40, and I think this one's 10, and then you get to the bottom, and everyone is going to do this,
Well, that's why I didn't want, that's why I was worried about adding all the categories.
Also,
To me, it was, I've got to compare them. And I was like, I can't compare,
And-
16 things at the same time.
again, kind of what we would do with Steven with the remotes, when we'd have, this one relative to that one is this one more, less,
Yeah.
it's just a little bit. The one thing that I believe Steven's motivation, one of them, was creating a system that could outlive any single member on the Capcom. So like when you say, I'll do all the spreadsheet stuff for everybody, when you move on, that then lands on somebody else to manually do it, which might be
But
a
so does our
turnover.
report writing too. It's the same.
Yeah, but report writing is just, formatting and commentary and narrative, which we kind of all go through here. It's, you're a rather smart guy, and I'm sure you're doing some stuff on Excel that not every incoming member
This
might be
is
able to.
pretty basic.
I don't disagree, but I'm just, I think that Steven.
But I think we solved the problem if you're amenable to it and if everybody else is, then it. I don't think we understood last year when you were having the dialogue with Jill, what you were getting at.
Okay, I'm sorry,
And
if I
then-
didn't explain it right.
No, it wasn't you, it's just that we didn't, so when she said that Brian didn't like it, we didn't know why Brian didn't like it.
Well, we
Now we do.
knew, but we had people on the committee who wanted everything to be like, they just want to do it a different way.
Mm.
They thought they're simplifying it, but it's just not, rankings just aren't that simple.
Right.
I think it's forward.
Looking through the categories, do you think that, what if we find that two of them are the same of import? What do you do then? What if you
Flip a
take
coin.
it?
Give them both a 2.5.
Is that okay?
I mean, if instead of a 2 and a 3, if we were doing the way that we were talking
Good
about.
suggestion.
If it's something, the 2 and, one's 2 and one's a 3, if
It's
you
a
say actually
great
they're
suggestion.
evil, then you would go 2, 5, 2,
Does that make
5,
sense?
yeah, it still adds up to 5. And
Perfect.
so when you get that relative weighted
Mhm.
average, and they would be equal.
Mhm. So I'm gonna give each one 6 divided by 1 divided by 6.
Yeah, I mean, if you want them all to be equal, yeah. You figure out a way to
Which is what we could have done
Yeah.
in that software, but we.
Yeah, essentially whatever-
That.
whatever, 1 plus 2 plus 3, I mean, so the middle one would add up to 6 points, you give each of them a 2.
However,
And they'd be equally
your
weighted.
approach is perfect, I think.
And it simplifies a
You're
little.
brilliant.
I just taking your lead, that's my friend, yeah.
And then
I
I
feel
can.
like-
As long as you're doing the spreadsheet.
I feel like I'm
okay.
in your shadow.
No.
Yeah,
You're-
Spreadsheet
you're
report?
now.
nice.
Right.
In a few minutes, that's fine.
So do we wanna just, are we
You do.
gonna be able to do that on our computers? Like, can Plum set that up so we can put in the,
Oh, Plum can't. No,
okay,
no, no.
so we
You're
need to
gonna
do
have,
it now?
somebody's gonna have to record it in Excel right now and come up with
Oh,
the,
Excel.
yeah, you can do
Yes,
it
we
in
can do
Excel
that.
right now and then send me that and we'll plug
Okay.
the percentages through.
Right.
Based on the weighted averages
If
that
he has
comes
a
up.
sheet, they could write it down.
Yeah,
And then we can.
just
put
a
it-
1 through.
Yeah, and then we
Put
can
it
plug,
Put a name on it,
Yeah, and then you
You know,
can list it. How's that?
I would love to.
and then you can create the weighted averages and we can put it
Right,
in,
we
and
can
then
do
we
that.
can, like I said, then we can normalize it for the G Rory piece, which
So
is.
we'll do it
fine.
manually.
Yep.
I'll put it in, Pete will check it, and then we'll give it to you.
Yep,
If
and
I
then
make
we'll-
grade,
we'll send it off and
category.
we'll finalize
Well,
it with Plum, and then we'll put a rush on it and pay a premium to get it done for you.
Okay.
And for us, cause truth be told, admin's already gone through 4, probably 5 departments already, and we're gonna be.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to
You're right.
wait to Rory until this is all input, because we really are trying to make sure that ours are done.
Yeah.
And you're only gonna see projects that, meet the criteria that the town manager has set.
Yeah, I mean, when I did mine, I would look at the G Rory and be like, okay, what has the most weight? And I always answer that first.
Which is always continuity ed,
Yeah, but even, I mean,
or within the group.
within each group,
Oh, gotcha.
whatever had the
Makes sense.
highest.
Yeah.
G Rory is what I would look at first because that was, and if I didn't like that one, then
Oh,
So the one
I
thing that I
would
think.
drag down the score.
The one thing I still think we do need to decide or confirm is that, so are we also individually ranking the groups?
Yeah.
Relative to each
Yeah.
other, not the
Yeah,
criteria.
you
but
have
the
to, you have
groups.
to
We
rank the
get to that
groups
too.
Two
first.
factors.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first factor is rank the groups,
Yeah,
and then the
And-
second factor is
Rank
assign the
criteria.
one, the
Multiply
ranking
the
the
group by
criteria, yeah.
criteria
Yep.
to come up with the score.
and so are we doing the same thing with the groups, a 1, a 2, or a 3?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, cause you only have 3 groups, so
Yes.
yes, yep.
Yeah.
Or three.
I think we already know the answer to
Divided by
that.
3.
Yeah, and
May I ask a question, a big? picture?
funny though, in the last ones, continuity A, which wasn't cost,
Right.
always had it.
But
way
you know what I'm
allocated.
gonna encourage? Cost.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And that was
We
always.
should. That's why we did this.
Great.
Last year, at the end of the season, we got a lot of last minute changes. And I felt kind of requests that we should evaluate. I kind of felt confused about, how it related to the original requests and what, meaning, and I think
Is there an example so I can speak
the one,
coherently for you?
yeah, the one that you,
Buying the
it
house.
was it was Public Works, I think. It was the house too, yeah. It was robbing Peter to pay Paul. We did a lot of that.
Well, that's not exactly how I would.
That's how a corporate person would look at it.
No, I understand. I think,
They're called transfers.
I think that there were probably a couple, there were some requests last year that came in late or an opportunity arose. I don't wanna go into every single one of them, but the house is obviously an example
Yeah,
because
it's
it came to you late and there was a couple others that we brought to you to explain what we were doing, okay? Um,
Oh, like the bathhouses, right?
The
The
bathrooms,
bathrooms.
yeah.
Okay.
what was the bathrooms? I forget.
He brought all the bathrooms and we were kind of supposed to give it a low, medium, high. Did you want to do a light renovation, a medium or heavy?
Okay, the goal always is to not have any of those. I mean, the house is probably a poor example because it came up. You know, at the I don't wanna say last minute, but it came up in the course of normal operations and we didn't anticipate it. But town administration and select board made the decision that it was a good idea to go forward with,
Well, I
so.
think he's talking about the airport house too.
Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't
you-
mean that it was and by the way, I didn't mean that it was last minute, that
Okay.
that was the problem. I was just was confused about, so what was, what was happening to what we previously approved
Okay.
in the context of the new request?
Oh, so you're talking the dormitory versus the townhouse, is that?
Yeah,
Is that
things like
more,
that.
okay, I'm sorry, I was.
And you know, but even the.
Oh, I
even
thought
the
you
public-
meant the
I am.
request for the house, but
The
that was an
house and the
outcome that
public
we were
works,
reviewing.
all of them required, I think. Had an implication on something that we had previously looked at, unless it was told.
I think you're thinking about what's in the warrant. I think it's just how it gets paid for,
Right.
but the things that came in later were not gonna be in Article 10, which is the capital.
But weren't these new items?
The,
Like
how,
you're being asked to look, we were being asked to look at something that
yeah,
administration.
does come
wanted
in
to-
later because we're supposed to be done January, but they got 5 more months before it gets approved by the voters, so.
Yeah,
they're
so there
figuring
were a
that.
few things that came in after you had issued your report
Right.
that we. During the course of the discussion with FinCom, made the commitment to come back to you to explain the rationale about why
Mm.
we didn't know about it, but. We really try to keep those to a
And
minimum,
you
quite
did.
frankly. We don't, I don't,
It's just-
administration
I was
doesn't even
confused.
necessarily like to see those because
Yeah.
it just. It
And I
does
think
throw
you
some,
weren't, because you heard it 2 or 3 times, so you knew what was going on, and we heard it, I heard
Right,
it
what's
once.
it like to.
Right, but that wasn't the point, but you knew where, what the context was.
Well, here's the example on the airport, I'll be honest, is the fact that we were not gonna give a positive recommendation on the building.
the townhouse,
duplex.
the duplex townhouse.
And so that actually forced them to have to shift gears
Yeah.
and figure something
Yeah.
else out.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
that
that was
was- yeah,
just a comment.
Yeah, no, it's.
Not a
it's-
criticism.
No, it's a good comment and you know, I don't take it as criticism, but I also do know that we work very hard to. Keep the plan to what it is and what we've presented and not have to come back because it does kind of create, uncertainty around the whole plan when we're adding a whole bunch of stuff at the
Yeah.
end to it, and we really do try not to.
The other thing that happened with Denise's chair was that, sorry, when she was chair of FinCom, she always asked Brian to make sure the capital looked at anything that FinCom looked at that required any kind of borrowing or.
Right, yeah, that was the FinCom never wanted to see anything in Article 10 that hadn't at least been discussed with the capital program, which is why when a couple of the items that. We intended to put in is why we came back to you, because we'd always had that commitment to the finance committee.
Do you think FinCom's gonna do that this year?
Yes, I'm pretty, well,
We are definitely.
I'm gonna assume that the finance committee chair.
I love that.
To my, you know, sitting here in this meeting is going to hold to that same pattern, and I think we try to hold ourselves to that same standard as well.
Yeah. I agree. I think it was Denise did a great job in doing that, I think. I think you appreciated it too. Sometimes it was just trying to get a meeting together. That was a little tricky. But also like the numbers for OH that came in later too, and that kept me challenging and.
I was gonna say it's all. Feels a little bit more challenging with the enterprise accounts that have, well, OIH doesn't have a separate board, but like.
Yeah.
Airport has their own commission, water has their own commission, so we're like, I haven't necessarily heard and.
Right. Right, no, I agree.
Yeah, if-
But that's
Oh, I know what
for
the big,
you.
I know what the big one was last year, that was the PFAS mobile treatment system.
Oh, yeah.
That we had to
Right.
authorize, and we told them we would come back and discuss that, the rationale for that with you,
Right.
That
Yeah,
was
for
one of
the-
the ones that came late.
That's a good memory.
Yeah, okay, you're right.
So when we.
Anything that cost $4 million, I remember.
I did. When we come up with the scoring, then we send it to you, because this is an open meetings issue, then you send it to Sue, right? And then Sue distributes it
What
to
you
you.
want us to do? You just want us to put our numbers next to our pages?
Yeah, why don't you guys just send the easiest thing would be for all of you to just individually. That's probably an Excel somewhere that somebody can send off to, or I can send it to
It's in
everyone.
Excel.
Yeah, and then you can all rate the groups. And then rate the criteria within the groups. You know, like first one is like 1 to 6 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then we'll aggregate them and get the weighted average and send it back to, we'll just say Howard and Peter for
Yeah.
review for,
Oh,
that
if you
or
wanna
you-
do the simple math, that'd be great.
yeah, well, we can, I mean, Excel will do it
Because that
for me
would-
anyway,
But
so.
doesn't that's an open meeting solution, I think, cause. if
Yeah, and
get it-
we'll do it in,
Go right now and tell us what you wanna do. Just like that.
Right,
Plug it in right now.
you can, I mean, however you wanna do it, we're happy if you wanna send it to aggregate it and put it together. If you wanna do it right now and Peter just types it all in on his computer, then I'm happy to do that.
Do you have it on that spreadsheet? Hold up.
I don't have that spreadsheet now.
Oh, I think that she.
Actually, you can just type it in Excel and just put everybody's name and you can just put if,
So is everyone gonna be comfortable and ready to do these all that quickly in this meeting?
I haven't even.
Yeah, that may be the
I'm,
case.
I'm looking at it right now and I'm like,
Separately,
trying to think
and then-
about it.
And send it in.
that's
yeah.
fine, and I'll aggregate and weight them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
I also don't really feel like I know enough about it
Yeah, so
to,
you
That's
right, I,
Well,
Yeah.
get you up to
You
speed.
thought you were ready.
Yeah.
Just,
You'll be ready soon enough.
I would say for everybody
Do not
to,
worry.
to remember to rate whatever's the most important one with a high number. You know, like your number one
Yep.
gets
You need to
a
add, the-
6, not a 1.
yeah,
Yeah.
make sure, Caroline, did you hear that?
Number 1 gets a 6, not a 1.
Like if for prioritization or, you know, a
Right.
3 for qualitative justification or a 5
Yeah.
for cost, but to.
Exactly. So
Reversal.
then in the next one, when you only have 3, the thing that's the most important to you should get a 3,
Or a 2.
and that's a 5.
Alright, so
Equal, look at that.
I need to leave, Madam Chair.
Okay, bye.
So, but when you end the meeting, the recording should stop. I think Sue
Yeah.
is she may be gone, but left. She couldn't log out because she's the host. So, okay.
Okay, thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice to see you.
Yeah, good to see you.
Good one.
Bye, Brian.
Bye, Caroline.
Did this all start getting recorded? Are we still recording these meetings?
Yeah, we did start as a recording. So when you adjourn the meeting and you just end that, it'll stop the recording. Are they okay?
Okay.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.
So each category,
See ya.
so Caroline, just each category is gonna get 100%, and then within that, you just give it a 1, 2, 3, and up to 6 in the first.
And then we're sending them all to Sue,
Yeah,
right?
I would send them all to Sue, she can pop them in.
And then somebody.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
fine. And then whatever is important to you, but does everyone kind of think that's it?
Simple enough.
Now, except on the whole, what we need to decide is each category, what are they gonna be?
Right,
Maybe we should talk about that.
Cost. I'm gonna make a recommendation.
Isn't that also the 1, 2, 3,
yes,
right?
But-
Isn't
but
that
I-
what I'm signing that too?
Carolyn,
Yeah, but-
Carolyn has come
But that would, but that doesn't. Yeah, if it's 3, yeah, if that's the greatest
That's how
one,
we were gonna do it, 1, 2, 3.
then that's fine.
But so are we individually doing that? And then he's going to see how all the individual ones.
Yeah, he's,
I guess so, but I'm gonna be honest, if costs had come out 1, I'm gonna be upset. I mean, 3, I should say. I'm just kidding.
Right,
Howard.
But as the most important, you're saying.
right,
You know what I'm saying?
I do, I think we should look.
We as a group should decide
May
that.
I suggest this? Let's do it
Yeah.
and score it. Let's get Brian to give us the answer and then let's look at it and see if it worked.
Right, and I think that's been the whole theory behind this relative ranking process in
Right.
general, is that you would hope that the
Okay,
individual rankings would prevail to what the group, if we were just talking about it casually, would come to.
And then we should have a discussion about it if somebody doesn't agree with the result. And wants
Yeah.
to influence that to, like Joe.
Yeah.
Want to.
no, no.
But you know what I mean? You might, we
joking,
should talk
but-
about it, like, you're gonna say, you know what, that didn't turn out the way I thought it was gonna, the way I wanted it to turn out. Would you guys?
Okay, yeah, it's just gonna require a little bit more on the meeting front. On that front,
Which I mean, we do in the past with individual requests, often, when we're going through them at the end, it's like.
yeah.
we
So I
"Oh, we
guess
scored this one really low. let's score
for
it high."
uniformity, when you send it to Sue, just put under, prioritization. Put the category name, put the numbers like, well, I will email everyone the Excel if they
Yeah,
wanna just.
yes.
Be the thing.
You know,
Yeah,
So
but you-
everybody's
in your
gonna
own
rate-
Excel, you save it and send it back to her.
Just to be clear, 1, 2, 3 score on the right hand, left hand column.
Mhm.
And then
1 through 6.
1 through 6, or
Pick
1
through
through
one.
3, 3 through 1, 5 through.
Right,
One, from the highest to
then-
lowest.
but if you got, we gotta do them like now, Brian's gotta get going with it. Their own
Yep.
rankings, cause they do this too. And they wanna follow what we're doing,
Okay.
and they do it before we do it.
So what
How do we answer your question so you could do this?
I feel like there was an onboarding process or that Jill referred to, and so I want to know, like how, if you have something presented in front of you, how do you?
No, but one of us usually just sits with people. And you know
Yeah.
what? I mean, I can sit with you, Christy can sit with you, Howard will sit with you, like, and just start telling you how.
Yeah, like I feel like I just need to know, like,
We aren't ranking these for a while, so what we really do online,
Can you give her logins so she can look at the,
I got to log
She
into the
has-
Do you have
software,
the
so I
request?
took a look at,
so you can
yeah,
see the request, and so we get
Yeah.
one of those for every project.
okay,
And
Yeah.
then we have the person come in and we ask questions about that department.
okay,
Then they go back and they do some more research if we ask them to give us supplemental information.
all right,
And
Yeah.
then you get as informed as you possibly can based on what's given to you and supplementary what's given to you, and you decide how you feel about what they told you, or if you have more questions.
okay. All right,
Did that sound right?
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
like I looked at the software, but I'm not sure.
Well,
if
it's not
I'm
gonna
like-
look like that anymore.
Okay,
That's what they see. This is replacing that.
okay.
So
all right.
you don't need to be overwhelmed by that.
Right,
You get to answer more questions than we did last year, which is the only drawback of what we did, but I think we.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
3 more, 4 more,
But the interview process is really insightful.
yeah,
12, and
And we've had people
That
come
was
back
like-
2 or 3
oh,
times to
no.
answer stuff for us.
okay,
And there are some things that they didn't think about process wise, like,
I barely.
how does-
answered.
how can this piece of equipment be used by other departments? Or is it a piece of equipment that has multiple uses?
okay,
Like, you want to know that because it makes them
more
more,
valuable.
more valuable.
Yeah, okay, all right,
You won't have to do any rankings for a while,
okay,
so that's the good news. Although
oh, we
we do
don't do it
kind
till
of,
the end.
okay,
That's
yeah,
the-
you
right,
can
get to-
rank them as you go if you want to, but it's kind of better to hear all the requests and then you can kind of. You might rank things differently after you've heard all of them,
okay, all right, that
you
makes
know,
sense,
which should be
yes.
closer to Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Okay,
to be clear though, so right now what we're doing is kind of more behind the curtains, like getting the structure set up so we can start to review requests. So what we're doing right now isn't relative to any specific request, it's just getting the framework established, which we kind of tweak year to year.
Right,
Okay,
and
So
so,
that could be why, that might be what's kind of. confusing.
yeah, so if you look in these 6 and you
Yeah.
look at them and you can decide of those 6, what do you think is gonna be the most important? thing
okay,
When you evaluate how much money the town is gonna spend on a project.
okay,
So the
And we
way,
also don't weigh in on where that money comes from. We don't weigh in on. How Brian, like, what, we don't weigh in on if it goes in Article 10. We don't weigh
where money come, whether
if
it's
it's
a
debt,
Yeah.
or like if he's gonna borrow money.
or
If it-
previous years funds are being
Or
real,
if
you know.
it's coming from free cash, like, we don't weigh in on any of that.
all right,
So
With the
you don't need to
caveat
think
that
about that.
One of them is whether or not grants are available to help pay for it.
Right.
Brian already knows whether or not we can pay for it.
okay,
So you don't fear that part.
all right, so it's just whether or not,
You think it's the right thing to spend this money on this project.
okay,
So having looked at lots of different projects, we met at the end and we came up with this list of like essentially questions that you would want to answer. Want to make sure you answer them to ascertain,
Okay.
you know, what the implication of it.
okay,
And so we made very explicit, like, okay, what are the important issues as a whole of all of the things that we looked at? And that's where we came.
all
And
right,
that's what's sort of nice about waiting to the end, because you won't necessarily see a theme, but a theme might emerge for you, where you're like, wow, I feel like we're really getting a lot of requests from this department, and what's driving that? You know, like, is something going on in that
Okay.
space that, you know, and then you might wanna rank those things and say, well, they've asked for more money than this department, so what's the priority within what
Mhm.
they're asking?
Mm,
You
okay,
can think that way. I think that way. I'm not saying you have to, but
okay,
I tend
But you
to.
will be able to do that.
Exactly,
but
if you wait till the
You'll have
request
so
at the
much
end.
information about the individual projects that you feel that you can make decisions about it.
yes, okay, I mean, I feel like that's the
You-
best way to go is to get all of the information and then make your decisions based on.
We
the
also have a
information.
schedule of the projects, remember with the master schedule of what was previous years approved?
Yes, and that's included
then-
now in the software.
And the future.
Right,
Okay.
what,
So you can see,
they're
oh,
supposed to put some,
Public Works is gonna spend this much in this category for the next 5 years on rolling stock.
Okay,
yeah. Which is really a good planning tool for town administration, so they know like, oh, the school needs more computers this year, and then they need twice as many next year, so they kind of put it in as a projection.
okay,
It's more for them,
yeah,
but that way you can see that that's what they planned for, and then they
Right.
came back and asked, well, that's not what they asked for, or they did.
And sometimes we ask like, is that really enough money in the future years to be able to do what you want to do?
yeah,
You know, is that really the right number? Because sometimes they hadn't thought about the future, how, and decided to ask for what they needed. And then also last year, they rated their projects, you see, medium, low, medium, high, and of importance.
okay,
And we asked them, remember we went back and we said, you know what, that sounds like a really important project. Why did you rate it medium?
Yeah.
yeah,
And
That's a
then they
big-
changed it.
okay.
Yeah, that's a big one, is like to ask them, well, where's it stand for you? Sometimes we
Right.
tell them to go back and like, you should rank that high, or
Well,
Yeah.
we rank it high.
Right, we also have the ability, if they ranked it a medium, if we think it's high, that would be reflected in our board.
It does.
Exactly.
Whether or not they changed it, you know, we could be like, we think
Yeah.
it's higher than you do, so we're gonna rank it appropriately based on our perception of.
Okay,
And I think it's gonna be easier when you have, even if you have like a request in front of you, whether it's this year's request or a past request, to kind of go through what they give you. Synthesize it into these different categories and then, you know, say, all right, from my interpretation of this project and how important it is and, you know, to everybody, the community, everything else. You know, where does it land in these criteria? It's a little abstract talking about it until you have it in front of you.
all right, okay, thank
It's
you.
nice to be able to see the numbers tell a story, right, and you'll be able to see at the end of the ranking how it told your story.
Yes,
Do you think we missed anything to explain to her?
And you just have to kind of like.
Reel it through.
yes,
You
Yeah,
gotta do
Go
a few
through it.
and then,
and it's a little subjective.
yeah, well, it's nice to have
I think
a
it's
numerical
objective now.
system. Yes,
We're getting-
exactly.
it's
Well, it's
subjective.
nice to have the ranking system so that it's not completely subjective.
Right.
Yeah,
Exactly. 'Cause before the-
honestly, I really feel like this was like a beta document.
Yeah, and I
It was
think
raw.
Stephen was
No, in
very,
a good way, like it got you going.
I do think that Stephen pulled all of those out of whatever the town's. Principal financial standards and rules and regulations, or whatever the document was that he pulled all that out of, and then it just kind of stuck there.
Yeah, I think it was, I love it. Honestly,
Really good.
I love it. I just think we kind of added some words and concepts so that when you had new people come on, they
Right.
could connect to it.
Good time to be coming in,
Like
because you
the-
don't have
when it
to
was
understand all that, and
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
understand.
Of the
Yeah, don't look at that.
appropriateness of cost, I was
Yeah.
like, none of these costs are appropriate.
Right.
It's all new money.
Well said.
That's
That was
the
one
other
of the,
thing.
that was one of the questions.
That's the other thing. Everything we do is all new money.
Okay.
We're not like spending old money and like.
Hmm.
Not, on occasion the transfers, but not really.
Caroline, did you have something to do?
No, I just thought it was funny what was being said.
Well, people should know.
When do you want to ask us to have these back by?
Can you guys send those to Sue like tomorrow?
I'd say like the 24 hours of whenever she sends us. the
Yeah, and then if
spreadsheet.
you don't, then it's
Yeah.
just gonna be whoever did send it in.
Okay.
Sorry. Also, okay, so
And Jill,
to,
you're emailing that to us, the
It's
Excel?
you have a, huh?
Chris, it'll go.
Oh, yeah, he couldn't be here today. He's in New Hampshire, but I'll tell him, or he can even tell me the scores if he wants, so. He doesn't want to.
And I would say, I just wanna emphasize kind of what we figured out, so if you have, you know, these 6 categories in prioritization. 1 through 6 adds up to 21 points.
Mhm.
Obviously, ideally, it's, you know, this one's a 6, this one's a 5, this
Yeah.
one's a 4, this one's 3, this one's 2, this one's a 1. But there is the possibility to take, you know, a 2 and a 3 and say those are equal and give them each a 2.5.
Or take
So they
21
add
and
up to
divide it by
6.
6.
Yeah.
Or
you're
take
kind of
21 and divide it by 6 and give them all that if you think that they're all equally rated. So it's more as long as the
Right.
6 ratings add up to 21.
Right.
So if you think one is like very important, you could give it an 8.
Mhm.
And then the other 5 have to split the I don't know, 13 points,
Right,
you know, so.
it's kind of, you giving it 21.
So it isn't, I mean, it could be as simple as 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in whatever
Mhm.
order you want, but if you do wanna get a little bit more, you know, I think. Addresses overburden capacity is even more relatively important than a 6, you know, then it could be a 7 or an 8, and it just means that the other ones have to add up to the
Could you
difference.
repeat that again?
21.
Because that's a great point.
Yeah, so if you think, let's say, address overburden capacity is more important than a 6 relative to the total, you could give it a 7 or an 8 or a 9.
And then reduce.
And
somewhere
then
else.
whatever's left, you have to split, not equally, but
And
whatever's
I say
left.
this, you have 21 points to distribute across those 6 items.
Yes,
Exactly.
so it doesn't have to necessarily be ordered
Okay.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because that almost.
Whereas here under
oversimplifies.
That's a great
qualitative,
point.
and under qualitative, you only have 6 points to
Right.
play with.
So if you give one a 4, the other
Yeah.
ones are getting a 1 and a 1, or a
Right.
1.25 and a 0.75.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it just gives you a little bit more, you can make it as simple as you want, or you can be a little bit more. I don't know, discretionary on how important or relatively less important some
And
things
then
are.
cost is what, 15 points?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you get 15 points in play, so I like that because like some of these I'm like,
That's how we gained it last year.
yeah, you had to figure it out though to do it.
Well, we did.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Remember to make them come out the way we wanted it to come out.
Okay, so in the first
Right.
category, enterprise is 21 points, the second category qualitative is 6, and cost is 15 points. So you can just divide up those points any way you want to, so you could give somebody 0, if you're like, I don't really love that.
That works better than what.
And chances are other people are gonna give it some amount of points, so it still will get some weighting, it just, your impact on that final rating is.
Yeah.
Less than the other way around.
But your 3, 2, 1 here for the categories is actually the most important, thing you're gonna do.
Unless you put
Jill's gonna get off the
30
6.
Unless you put a third,
You do 4, 1, 1.
right? 1, 2, 3 is 5, 6. If you put 2 next to each one.
That they're splitting.
I am gonna do that 4, 1, 1, that's like perfect,
There you go.
doing it.
Oh,
And he's gonna go 2.5, 2.5 a cost, and then we'll balance out.
I do know.
And then, yeah, he's totally well. Yeah, it's hard, that first we did so well in prioritization,
These are
because I
great
loved
ones.
the innovative enhancement one,
Right.
and yet it's not gonna come up that much, so like, how much can I really weight that?
Right, but it is great. It's a great list.
I know, very proud of everybody on the committee for working on that. Well done, guys. And gals, we got more gals now.
Is John still on the committee?
No,
Oh, he's
he.
not. Oh, okay, I thought he was.
sent
He
an
was
email.
here.
Liza is our
And then
NPDC
NPDC.
rep.
Gotcha, so was he NEPDC last year?
Yeah. he
Okay,
was.
that's, I was gonna ask
Yeah.
that earlier.
And he's busy
Yeah,
and he,
yeah.
he's like, I looked at our schedules 32 meetings, so I gotta talk to you guys about the schedule.
We're just trading on.
Of course. I mean, John really, you know, set this in motion with Howard, so he has, you know, put his stamp on it and said, you're welcome.
He did, he helped with a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
he was
over
great.
here. It was good.
It's great.
The committee schedule, the calendar is gonna change a little bit, I think, according to Sue, so we might not really kick off until the middle of September, if everyone's good with that.
Mhm.
With requests.
Do we have,
Oh, it's a request.
do we have enough
Would like-
time? Because some of them were big lists and they really shouldn't be done in one meeting.
I agree, so you guys have an option, we can go to
Remember?
2 shorter meetings a week, or we can have one longer meeting, we might have to have more meetings kind of at the end.
Right, but remember, some of them were huge, like TPW had a lot of requests.
Yeah, they did, and I don't know, they're still evaluating all that town administration, so I don't have any
Right.
idea, like,
Can you look at these since you know what they are when we get them and say, we need this big, we should break it up,
Maybe,
but you know.
maybe. I mean, for me, usually shorter meetings are a little bit easier. to plug
I
in
totally agree.
on my other stuff.
Take up as much time as you have, so the shorter the meeting, the better.
But more,
But
more,
meeting.
more shorter meetings are a little bit easier.
If you do a long meeting, you're still gonna get the same amount accomplished, I think, that you did in an hour.
I totally agree, I like shorter meetings, and my attention span is like, well, I mean, plus I like to lock in on one subject matter.
Yes,
Yeah.
children's recreation,
Well, we know. We know.
that's.
That's actually, that might come up this year, so who knows? I don't know. I hope so. But
The
Can
point
we-
is, we
yeah.
often start in August and now Sue is telling me because of a change in how they're doing some things at their side, I think they might, I don't think we can start meeting till after September 11th.
Hmm.
So if you guys are good with that,
Okay.
and
It's
I
only
don't think we need to meet again until then, but we do need to do election officers and then appoint somebody to the crack committee, customer resiliency committee. And
Do we want to
Who
talk?
was on that last year?
Christie, and he's willing to do that again. if
And he was good at that.
He loves it, I think. But Caroline, by all means, if you want to do it, then speak up.
Well, if Christie has been doing it and wants to do it, I think it's good to have continuity.
Yeah, I do too. I just want to make sure.
And he was great at explaining stuff when he came back to us.
Really good. So,
Now, are you wanting to not chair because you're chairing FinCom?
no, I'm willing to do it. But
She's a good chair.
good chair, gonna have
This
to,
committee is,
I-
Very good chair.
no, okay.
this committee just is a little different.
You're like, I said, I'll do it.
Yeah, we're good.
But we told her we would help her with it. So-
Yeah, well, Capcom's a little different. We're really more of a team.
Okay.
Like, we've got our report writing group and yeah, so we're good.
It's a very entertaining, fun group of people.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Well,
I like,
seems like
I
it.
like to
Yeah.
chase up some information and things like that so that we are kind of ready to go when our meetings go. Good, so.
And you know, we said town meeting date.
May
for
4th,
all of that.
4:30. May
May
4th.
the fourth?
May fourth.
Yeah.
So the plan is May fourth and fifth, hopefully not May sixth.
I know, but I'm glad it's during the week.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna mix
Is
it
that
up.
you did?
yeah, well, it's hard when it's
What's May
just like
6th?
9
You're
hours.
saying-
I just
Start
have to go
that.
through-
Gotcha, yeah, yeah.
But it
Oh.
actually does happen to be my
It's nice
daughter's
to break it
birthday, so she gets really kind of annoyed that town meetings always fall on her birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, right.
That would be really annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't take that year off, I guess,
Right.
right? So with that, then we need to nominate officers. We just need a chair and a vice chair.
What? No, May.
Yeah.
Who's May?
Yeah, so nominate Jill to be chair.
Okay,
I said,
Second, Beth.
all right, and on your motion, Dawn,
Aye.
Pete,
I,
Howard,
Aye.
Liza, Caroline,
Aye.
thank you. And I would like to nominate Howard Matz to be the vice chair, if he's willing to serve.
sure.
I
Thank
second
you.
that.
good man.
And on that motion, Dawn,
Aye.
I,
Howard,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Caroline.
Aye.
Great. Thanks, guys. And then I think that's it. We talked about the calendar. You'll just have to wait to hear from me. I'm not positive. It's all gonna get moved around.
Okay. And then like, can we kind of play it by ear? Like if 1 week that seems like there's a lot to do, we can break it into a couple.
Yeah, they're good at
meetings.
knowing how much we can handle. Sue's good at this.
At the end of this, we write a report, but a lot of it is a consolidation of data, but there's commentary in there. So along the way, if you had notes like, I really hated this and I really thought it was stupid and I want to make sure that as a committee, we reflect that to the finance committee.
Okay.
So just keep some very 10,000 foot note, like about why something was good or bad or weird.
Okay.
All right, so that you can give it to us to put in the.
There is an area in there that you can put little notes to yourself on each. And that is really helpful, because you could go back and be like, oh, I listened in October and now, you know,
Yeah.
you might be like, oh, that was bothering me or not bothering me, or that seems really good. But yeah, we've kind of also kept our reports a little shorter than they've been in years past.
Okay.
We kind of get right to the point. Okay, I don't know of anything else on our agenda. What else? We did that.
Are those changes?
We don't have any committee reports that I know of, other than. Christie's not here. That's really the only committee that we have an appointed person to is the crack. And that's it. So if I can get a motion to adjourn.
so moved.
Second.
And Dawn,
Aye.
Kate,
I,
Howard.
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Caroline.
Aye.
Thanks for joining, Caroline. Appreciate it. Good luck off island.
see you next time.
Heading back. See you.
Bye.
Aye.
Stop,
Where is it?
up top.
How big is the
Oh, yeah.
total look of projects? this
You
year?
used to have
what?
a
What's the total
mount.
capital?
Stop button.
I don't know yet. I haven't
I
looked,
took-
sorry, no.
Yeah, press that, the square,
Okay,
yeah.
so what happened to the mount?
Is, it's huge.
I like the mount.
Well,